Hey YouTube, Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Speedroid Yugioh deck profile for Post-Supreme Darkness. This is the synchro deck used by Yugioh in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5 anime. We got a bunch of new Speedroid cards in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster set for the deck, including the new boss monster, Crystal Clear Wing Over Synchro Dragon, and also a bunch of new Pendulum Speedroid monsters to make use of in the deck as well. So wanted to update the deck with all the changes that we have for it now, with the new cards we can use and the older support cards we've gotten throughout the years as well for the deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and start off with the main deck monsters. For the Speedroid monsters, we're running 3 copies of Speedroid Terratop. Just having the easy special summon of this card while you control no monsters. And then when it's normal or special summon, being able to add a Speedroid monster from your deck to your hand just gives us search upon search for an engine to build off of to be able to go into our synchro plays. Another 3 of is the 3 copies of Speedroid Tekken Tomborg. If you control a Wind monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can tribute this card to special summon 1 Speedroid tuner from your deck. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of the turn, except for Wind monsters. You can only special summon Tekken Tomborg once per turn, but still having access to our tuner monsters, being able to special summon out those resources can give us access to a good number of cards, including the new Speedroid Wing Synchron off of this card, and then just being restricted to Wind monsters, which really isn't a problem in the deck, since we are only running Wind monsters in the extra deck to begin with. We're also running 3 copies of Speedroid Card Turbo. If you control a Wind monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn except for Wind monsters. You can banish this card and 1 Speedroid monster from your graveyard. All Wind monsters you currently control get 800 attack to the end of this turn. So an attack boost, but also just another special summon by just controlling a Wind monster. So if you have the added setup that I mentioned before of Terratop and Tekken Tomborg, you can just summon out your Card Turbo to the field as well, just like Tekken Tomborg, without even taking up a normal summon yet, and then being able to then just go for the additional plays that you can make use of, whether it be the synchro play or using those monsters to go into our Link monster also. For some of the lower numbers for the non-pendulum Speedroid monsters, we also run 2 copies of Speedroid Ultra Hound. When this card's normal summon, you can send 1 Speedroid card from your deck to the graveyard. During the main phase, except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 Speedroid monster in your graveyard, and shuffle it into the deck. If you do special summon 1 Speedroid Synchro monster from your extra deck with the same level, but a different name, but negate its effects, you can use this effect of Ultra Hound once per turn. But being able to just send a Speedroid card from your deck to the graveyard can give you access to some of the added banish options for those Speedroid cards that we mentioned before, but also being able to, just have the target for a Speedroid monster in your graveyard, including our lower level ones, because we do have some pretty low level Speedroid monsters to be able to summon out from the extra deck as well, and make use of those monsters because some of the requirements for our synchros that we go into do need those type of synchro monsters to be able to summon out. We're also running the 1 copy of Speedroid Den Daiko Duke and the 1 copy of Speedroid Red-Eyed Dice for added tuners to be able to summon out onto the field, and then adjust the levels with cards like Den Daiko Duke, and then have the added banish option for special summoning a Speedroid tuner with Den Daiko Duke from the graveyard. For the Pendulum monsters, we're running 3 copies of Speedroid Colonel Clackers. For a scale 8 Pendulum monster, you can banish 1 Speedroid card from your graveyard to place 1 Speedroid Pendulum monster from your deck in your Pendulum zone. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn, except for Wind monsters. You can only use this effect of Colonel Clackers once per turn. So, giving you the banished option from the graveyard to place another Pendulum monster from your deck. Can also set up needed scales if you wish to Pendulum summon, but also just being able to have that additional scale option to grab another Speedroid Pendulum monster to then be able to use the added effects, which we'll go over in just a bit. And then the monster effect is if this card's on the field destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon 1 Speedroid Colonel Clackers as a tuner from your hand, deck, or graveyard. And during the damage calculation of your Clear Wing monster battles, while this card is face up in your extra deck, you can banish this card, and that monster gains 700 attack. So making use of a monster in the extra deck as well in the form of this Pendulum monster. And then we also run the 3 copies of Speedroid Marble Machine. When this card is normal summon, you can activate this effect, add 1 Speedroid monster from your deck to your hand. You cannot special summon for the rest of this turn, except for when monsters. So this would be your go-to normal summon, since it only gets the search when it's normal summon. Being a scale 1, it works well with Colonel Clackers to hit a variety of different monsters to be able to pendulum summon out. And once per turn, when your defense monster is targeted for an attack, you can change it to face-up attack, and it cannot be destroyed by battle. So a pretty good defensive pendulum scale option as well that you can set up with Colonel Clackers as well. And then the one of count of Speedroid Wing Synchron being a scale 4. Once per turn, you can destroy this card and 1 level 2 Wind Pendulum card in your Pendulum Zone to special summon 1 Clear Wing Synchro Dragon from your extra deck. It's treated as a Synchro summon. And for the rest of this turn, this card in the Pendulum Zone cannot be destroyed by card effects, or cards in your Pendulum scales cannot be destroyed by card effects. You cannot special summon except for wind monsters. So this, with your Colonel Clackers, sets up just an immediate summon of your Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, very similar to some of the play aspects we've gotten for Perform House and Predaplants, being able to perform your summon from the Pendulum Scales using the cards that we have. And then for the monster effect, if it's added to your extra deck face up, and you control 2 or more different types of wind synchro monsters, you can send 1 Speedroid Spiral Trap from your deck to the graveyard, giving you more setup for those cards, as mentioned before, by just having the needed synchro monsters on the field to use. With the rest of the main deck monsters being 2 copies of Droll and Lockbird and 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. Just a hand trap lineup to use to make use of with the Speedroid monsters. We just need a small engine to be able to utilize a full play for our Speedroid cards. And then for the spells, 2 copies of Speedroid Wheel. Discard 1 card, roll a 6-sided dice, then special summon from your hand or deck 1 or 2 Speedroid monsters whose total levels equal the result but negate their effects. If you do not special summon, you lose life points equal to the result times 500. So this can just grab you more Speedroid monsters. It would be a potential 3-up. If you want to, you could drop the next copy of the spell we run and add a 3rd copy of Speedroid Wheel, because it just goes for a discard and can give you 2 monsters on the field to then be able to adjust into a synchro summon. 2 copies of Speed Recovery for a special summon, once again, of a Speedroid in your graveyard, and then being able to banish it, except the turn was sent to the graveyard, to target a Speedroid monster in your graveyard and add it back to your hand. More recycle power on top of a special summon power on the turn you use it. With the 1 copy of Speedroid Scratch as well, to send 1 Speedroid card from your hand to the graveyard to add 1 monster from your deck to your hand, just shifting out the needed Speedroid cards to hopefully get a particular one you want. And for the other spells, 1 Monster Reborn, 1 Foolish Burial, and 1 1-for-1, more added search power for some of the cards we run in the deck, and being able to summon off cards like our Red-Eyed Dice off of the 1-for-1, set up other ones in the graveyard with Foolish Burial, and summon back resources just like Speed Recovery with Monster Reborn. For the rest of the spells, 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. If our opponent tries to go for the hand trap option, we at least have more draw power, or being able to take a resource of theirs or a card out of their hand. With the traps being 1 copy of Speedroid Clear Wing Wonder. Target cards your opponent controls up to the number of different monsters among them, and the wind synchro monsters you control, and destroy them. If your opponent special summons a monster except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 wind synchro monster you control and banish it and return it to the field. So this gives you more of an option to set up with your tuner, being the Speedroid Wing Synchro, sending this card to the graveyard to then have the banish option, and then also return to the field after getting rid of that opponent's card. And then the 1 Speedroid Duplicate for the banish of a wind monster, target 1 card your opponent controls, returning it to the hand as well. And then during your main phase, if this card's in the graveyard, you can target a level 2 or higher Speedroid you control, reduce its level by 1, and special summon this card onto the field as a level 1 normal monster. With the rest of the traps being the 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, along with the Ash Blossoms and the Droll and Lockbirds, just a hand trap engine to be able to make use of in the deck as well. And then for the extra deck, we're running 1 of the new boss monster, being Crystal Clearwing over Synchro. We're needing 2 tuners or 1 tuner Synchro monster and 1 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Must be Synchro summoned once per turn when another card or effect is activated. Quick effect, you can negate the activation. If you do, destroy that card. If you destroy a monster, this card gains attack equal to that monster's original attack to the end of this turn. And if this face-up Synchro summoned card and its owner's control leaves the field by an opponent's card, you can special summon 1 Clearwing monster from your extra deck. So then, this just gives you more of the negate option, and then you can float into a Clearwing monster. Very, very similar to Shooting Star Dragon's setup with Shooting Quasar Dragon, but also just being able to have the negate option and destroying of a card, and then having this card gain the attack, taking on properties of both the Clearwing Synchro Dragon and the Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon as well. We run 2 copies of Clearwing Synchro Dragon just because we need the 1 copy to potentially float into, and then the other copy to be able to summon out with our Colonel, Clackers, and Wing Synchron tuner setup using these cards. The 2 copies of Crystal Wing Synchro, just another easy level 8 Synchro monster to be able to summon out with a level 1 tuner, and our Clearwing Synchro or any of the other Speedroids in the additional tuner. The 1 copy of Clearwing, or Crystal Clearwing Synchro Dragon, another boss monster, not the level 12 option, but still having the adjusted levels between the level 7 Clearwing and the level 8 Crystal Clearwing, and then this card being the level 10, just needing a tuner Synchro and 1 non-tuner Clearwing monster, or being able just to summon this card from the extra deck as well by using our Crystal Clearwing over Synchro Dragon. We're also running the 1 copy of the new High Speedroid Glider, number 2, for the added Synchro Summon. The target level 7 or win non-tuner Synchro in your graveyard, and special summon it. If your opponent special summons a monster, you control a Clearing monster during the damage step. You can banish this card from your graveyard and increase the level of all monsters you control by 5. You can only use this effect of Glider number 2 once per turn, but added adjustment for monsters on the field to be able to make use of as well. The 2 copies of the Cork Shooter for the lower level option of Shuffleback with our go-to monster setup with our Ultra Hound. The 1 copy of High Speedroid Hagoda, and then the 1 Chambara for some of the other Speedroid Synchros, and then the 1 copy of Clearwing Fast Dragon and the High Speedroid Clearwing Rider as added Synchro monsters to be able to summon off of the bigger boss monster. And then our only Link monsters are the 2 copies of High Speedroid Rubber Band Shooter, needing 2 win monsters during your main phase, being able to immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a win monster, and then you can special summon from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, and then being able to banish a win Synchro from your extra deck to reveal 2 Speedroid monsters with different names from your deck, whose total levels equal those monsters, and your opponent randomly picks 1 for you to add to your hand and send the other to the graveyard. More and more setup if you need to go for a Link play, not having the needed levels for your Clearing monsters on the field. And then as for some of the go-to plays in the deck, just being able to make use of like our Colonel Clackers, we'll go with the initial setup. If we have these cards, we can go for the new bigger boss monster in the deck, needing the special summon for all of these cards to special summon the needed monsters as well. So the first play will be obviously, and you could just search out any of the other cards off of your engine to begin with as well, so remember that. Summoning out your Terratop, then if you have 2 of these 3 cards for that setup, you don't even need the Clearwing Synchron. You'll just need the additional Colonel Clackers or the Tekken Tomborg as the additional search, because Colonel Clackers will then be able to have the setup for your wind monster in the other Pendulum Zone. So you'll use your Terratop to grab Tekken Tomborg, being able to special summon this card from your hand, and then go for the added play of your monsters, being able to have the tribute of Tekken Tomborg, setting it up in the graveyard, to then summon out your needed monster, which can be the Red-Eyed Dice, because then you can use Red-Eyed Dice to adjust the levels you need for those monsters. Setting the scale with Colonel Clackers can use its effect, banishing the Tekken Tomborg from the graveyard to set the other scale for this card, and then being able to destroy it and Speedroid Synchron to then be able to go for the added play for your Clearwing Synchro Dragon onto the field. Colonel Clackers will also then activate for the destruction play. You'll have the send effect off of the Speedroid Wing Synchron as well. When this card is added to your extra deck, and you control 2 or more different wind types Synchro monsters, so that's when you'll have to remember to use this play here. So if you want to, before you go for any other plays like the destruction of the Pendulum Scale, you can go for the needed Synchro if you have your Red-Eyed Dice adjust its level to then be a level 5 Synchro Tuner, being the High Speedroid Glider number 2. Then you'll use the effect of both of these cards, setting up the Clearwing Synchro Dragon. You'll have the 2 wind synchros for your monsters to then be able to send your trap to the graveyard. You have the added Colonel Clackers play to summon another one onto the field as well. And then from there, you have your level 12 Synchro setup using the High Speedroid Glider and the Clearwing Synchro, because you just need the 1 tuner Synchro monster and the Clearwing Synchro Dragon to be be able to summon out your Crystal Clearwing over Synchro Dragon to the field. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. Like I said, this is a very fun deck, and it just got even more better consistent support to make it a pretty awesome one to be able to get out your bigger boss monster, the Crystal Clearwing over Synchro Dragon. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.